My novel Hotel Cuba was inspired by the immigration story of my grandmother, Ethel Lansky. In our family lore, the year my grandmother lived in Cuba, back in 1921, has always been a bit of trivia in her heroic coming to America story, a quirky intermezzo between the melancholy overture of shtetl life in rural Russia and the happy ending crescendo of her American dream. I hadn't given it much thought until the election of 2016, when our country, with its strong heritage of immigration, elected a president who'd promised to close our borders to immigrants with and without documents. As the daughter of a cantor, my grandmother was relatively well off compared with her neighbors, though she still endured poverty, anti-Semitic pogroms, and the privations of World War I. However, by 1921, the violent anarchy and economic misery caused by the Russian Revolution had made life unbearable.
Why did you decide to leave? What made you decide, like,
The revolution.
she had no...
The revolution. The Russian Revolution.
There was no future for anybody.
No.
The U.S. Congress had recently passed the Emergency Quota Act, which tightened limits for immigrants from Eastern Europe, the vast majority of whom were Jewish. But then my grandmother heard that if she and her sister went to Cuba, they could wait there a year before trying again for America. After 3 weeks at sea, my grandmother and her sister arrived in Havana, where they worked for a middle-aged, childless Jewish couple who owned a business making hats. This was during the years of Prohibition, when Americans frequently traveled to Havana to get drunk. When she'd saved up enough money, she bribed an American couple to take her with them to Key West and pretend she was their daughter. However, upon disembarking in Florida, my grandmother was immediately stopped by border agents and detained while they investigated her case, suspecting she was involved in human trafficking. She was held for about 2 weeks, then deported to Cuba without a penny to her name.
They caught you one time or
Yeah.
They
something?
could, yeah. They sent me back and I did it again.
In writing my novel, I did exhaustive research trying to understand what my grandmother might have seen and felt as a young woman suddenly transported from the mud and snows and devastation of war-torn small-town Russia to a tropical Caribbean island. And so, in my story, the main character of Pearl finds that because of the people she meets in Havana, the things she sees and experiences, her life opens up unexpectedly. In the novel, Pearl's time in Cuba forces her to confront her past and to grow in ways she couldn't have predicted. Hotel Cuba is a tribute to the profound, everyday courage of a woman displaced from home who strives to create a new one in a strange land.